in the studio right now. One has been here several times. I forgot to check the last time I was here. Michel Weatherall and Jen Pretty, both 2017, 2018, 2019 Faces of Ottawa Awards finalists for favorite author. And they're both here in the studio now. I hope I get all these mics. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
We're fantastic.
Did you have any problem parking?
It's always a treat.
Did you follow my my advice? Did you park on campus? Did you find a spot there?
I did find a spot there.
It's a good spot.
Yeah,
and if you know, not only parking there's a good spot, you can get into this building faster if you go southwest and take the loading dock between the Unicenter.
Yeah, actually, that's my GPS when I was on foot brought me that way, and I was walking through it thinking, man, this is a little bit
It's dodgy.
sketchy.
It's dodgy, sketchy, smells. There's dumpsters and garbage everywhere, but that door is open 24 hours a day, even at Christmas time. It's the only way we can get into this building at Christmas time. So it's easy, too, because you start at the second floor and you're already at the elevator.
Yeah.
You've been here before, so I don't really care. I'm just kidding. Let's start with Jen, though,
Absolutely.
because we have been here. And did you bring her in? How did you? Well, let's talk to you. How did you two connect? Why is she here? Why did you think it's a good fit?
That is a good. I always wonder how we meet somebody. I think ultimately we began as just Facebook friends. We're in the same area, both writers. And I think it was last year for the nominations for Facebook, we started messaging one another. And I think the first one was, I'm a nominee too. And I think my initial response was, your competition, I can't talk to you. And it kind of just went that way. And I think it was recently, a couple of months ago, maybe, you had sent a poem to give it a once over. And I was in the middle of putting together a collection of poems and ended up giving her the whole thing to like beta read before it was published, and that's the snowball effect. That's how things get going.
You got my attention with poems. I'm not a big poetry guy. And what was the other thing you just said? It doesn't matter. Have you got new work?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jen, what have you been doing lately? You got new work too, right?
Yeah, I always have new work.
So just move the mic a little closer, or that would be good. That's good.
I write a lot. So.
Do you really?
Yeah.
What do you write?
I write mostly fantasy novels.
What kind of fantasy?
Urban fantasy, mythology.
Whoa, what's urban fantasy?
Urban fantasy is vampires in our world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or werewolves or whatever.
How did urban fantasy get to that? Is it just your take on it?
It's a...
Or is all
subgenre.
urban fantasy involve
real life
creatures?
Places.
Okay.
Yeah, real life places, fantasy creatures.
Okay. And what real life places do you write about?
Most of them are just made up places.
Not based in the Iroquois.
Not Iroquois. No.
Which we found out during the break, by the way. We're bitching and moaning about maps and lost villages. Jen, are you from Iroquois?
Yeah, I just live just north of Iroquois in Princeton.
Is that where you came today?
Yeah.
Oh, you're from Princeton too.
Yeah.
So you heard my thing about turbines, I'm sure.
I have lots of turbines there.
And should I ask what your opinion is?
I don't mind them.
Right.
No.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
You don't see flocks of birds and people running for their lives, and they're not on flames, they're not spinning out of control, there's no blades hitting you.
They just slowly spin in the distance. And,
beautiful, eh?
Yeah, don't cause a problem.
Yeah, just...
There they are.
Congratulations for accepting them, because they're going up in my area, and mine are bigger, by the way.
Okay. Really? Bigger than the ones here?
Yeah, they're the biggest in the world right now, because every generation, it's the latest generation. So these are Enercon E138s. Big.
Okay.
The tower is 300 meters.
That's big.
40 stories.
Yeah.
And the blades are 300 meters.
Wow, okay.
So 300-meter blades, like when you put them all together,
600 plus.
spinning on top of a 300-meter tower. Big.
Yeah.
So
Disappear
I'm
in the
very
woods.
excited. I'm taking pictures, and I'm very excited. But we're not here to talk about turbines. That's nice to know, though. You're from Iroquois, and you can read maps, and you're pro-turbine. So you just got 1,000 points. I'm going to write that down right now. Jen, 1,000 points.
Got you beat.
Yeah.
She's already ahead of me. Damn.
Yeah, you haven't even started yet. You get 500 for lining all this up.
Okay.
We'll tally it up
Halfway
at the end of the
there.
show. Yeah. Okay, so urban fantasy, and what was the other?
Mythology. My most recent book is from the Arthurian time period.
Can I see this? Now, you're a fan of self-publishing.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
'Cause we know Michel is. He's a big fan, started a long time ago. He has some experience in the print world. So this is self-published as well, but it doesn't look like yours, or does it?
I don't know.
Oh wait, this is made in the USA, Lexington. Is that where you got yours done?
Yeah, they're from
Do you
Amazon.
use the same?
No, we use a different
No.
printer.
Oh, you use different.
I do. I use local printers.
Okay.
You go through Amazon. Is that right? Okay.
So really,
Yeah.
you submit a PDF, poof, a book comes out
Yeah.
through Amazon. .ca.
.com.
.com. What tab do you press to do that?
They have a Kindle direct publishing section
Yeah,
where independent authors can publish their work.
and they send you books.
Yeah, you buy
Yeah,
them.
well, I know.
Yeah.
But you send them the artwork. And they do the code for you. You don't have to worry about that in the artwork, right?
No.
They automatically
They
apply
pump
it.
that on there.
You just got to leave a spot for it. Cool. Nice artwork. Who's the girl on the horse?
That's Morgana Le Fay.
Who?
Morgana Le Fay.
Morgana
Le Fay
Le Fay. Is
from
that?
the Arthurian mythology.
You're talking Greek to me.
Okay.
King Arthur and the legends that
The sword
surround
and
him.
stone.
My middle name is Arthur. That's where it came from. King Arthur. I knew about, okay, but no. I got to read more or something. This is really a clean book, though. It's even got the little thing here for folding purposes. Although, as we know, if you're a real book person, you never
You never break the
Don't
spine.
break the
you
spine.
don't crack the spine, right? Okay. Morgana Le Fay, Origins, Darkness, Sleeping, A Girl on a Horse, Moon, Castles. What's it about?
Basically, it's the origin story of Morgana Le Fay. The Morgana Le Fay is characterized as a villain in most of the more recent iterations of the story. So in my story, I have her origins as an 18-year-old girl discovering magic and trying to make herself a life in the 2nd century.
It says here an old woman who lives in the attic chooses
Creepy.
Morgana for something.
Creepy.
What does the old woman? Why is there an old woman living in an attic?
Well, Morgana moves from out of foster care. She was in a
Orphanage.
orphanage, thank you. And she moves to a convent to live her life. And she just meets this old woman who's also living at the convent. And she has some secrets.
And she's looking for something here. A place, Avalon?
Avalon.
It's not the Roxy music song, is it? Do you even know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's an album. He'll fill you in later.
Okay.
He got it. I think.
I think.
Okay, so Darkness, Sleeping. Story of a woman living in an orphanage. She's got to leave.
That's part of a series, though, isn't it?
It is. That's
Yeah.
the first. That's book 1.
Okay, it's the okay.
This is part of a series? How come it doesn't say part 1? How am I going to know this is a series? Oh, because it's going to end on a cliffhanger, and then I'm going to write to the author saying that was a horrible ending,
Yeah.
and then you'll say, oh, that was part 1, right?
But that's okay because book 2 comes out on Friday.
Oh, so there's no
So,
waiting.
No waiting.
You can almost package them together then.
Yeah.
She redefines the word prolific when she comes to writing and putting out stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
You
I
put
read
out
a lot.
what book
That
is
one
this?
came out last month.
And how many books have you self-published?
15.
15?
Yeah.
Wow. Are they all this format, this size, this thick?
Pretty much, yep.
Glossy cover, nice art. Who does your artwork?
That one was Drop Dead Designs, or
Oh,
there's people who do artwork. I have various artists
yeah.
who make art for me. Yeah,
Really? People you know or online
Online,
stuff?
yeah.
Oh, send me that link.
overseas mostly. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Send me that link.
I will.
And how does it work out? Like they send you a draft? Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
Refine it or not?
Yeah, it's usually please do this or please do this, and over and over and over again until we finally get to one that I'm happy with.
So you write to them saying, I want a woman on a horse in front of a castle on a moon, and they sent you a draft.
That's exactly what I said.
Is it really?
Yeah. And I said, no, the horse doesn't look nice, so she changed the horse.
Okay.
I said, her hair has to be red, so she changed the hair. And
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. I mean, like, I'd love to zoom in on it, but it's a good picture. Do you have just the picture without the credits or name and stuff? Like just the picture somewhere?
No.
No?
But no,
No? That's very cool.
I don't think so.
15 books. And how many, if this is part 1, have you already got it in your head? There's going to be 5 parts to this, or 2
There'll be
parts?
4.
How do
is
you
the
know
plan.
that?
Well, that's how many I've come up with in my mind. Like, it's all juggled around in there, so.
Not on paper,
No,
notebooks. It's
no.
all in your head.
Well, book 3, I have the first few chapters written, just so that I have an idea of where it's going.
And
but
2's coming out this Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And how long does it take you to write one of these things?
about a month.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. It takes me 2 months just to write a 1-pager. It takes me 4 hours to do my script for this show. Really, a month. And it's all in your head.
Yeah.
What motivates you? What not necessarily motivates you? Where's your inspiration come from all this stuff?
This was part of a project that another author was working on, and he wanted to write a new series on Arthurian using all different characters. And so I kind of joined in and researched, because I didn't know anything about the Arthurian legends. I did a lot of research, wrote some articles on some different aspects of the Arthurian legends, and then sort of just dove in.
Are these legends real? No, they're legends.
They're legends.
Okay.
Yeah.
A whole world of legends that I know nothing about. Are all your books following this kind of theme? Or have you got another one about puppies?
Oh, well, it's all fantasy,
Okay.
but different sort of subgenres. Like, this is my first historical type fantasy, but I have, one on gargoyles. I have one that's the goddess Durga, the Hindu goddess Durga. It follows her sort of story, but it's in modern day. And just whatever I come up with, whatever.
Okay, so
Piques my
how did
fancy.
you get into this? What was the first thing you think you saw, whether it be a book, a TV, an image, to make you start writing books in this kind of genre, fantasy world?
Well, I've always read that genre, the fantasy genre.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually 2 years ago, I was trying to find a book to read, and I couldn't find one, so I just started typing out a book, start writing a story, and I didn't think anything would come of it, but it ended up being a pretty good long story, and so I just sort of went to work on figuring out how to be an author after that. So that's kind of how that worked.
Are these things selling for you?
Yeah, I'm mostly online. I do a lot of business online, but I've just started, thanks to Michel, pushing me to, or encouraging me to do more in person. I just did an in-person event, and so I'm selling in person as well too now.
Yeah, that's what he's famous for, by the way. He just hooks up authors and say, you're going to come to the Tim Hortons and we're going to do a show or a
Let's do
book
this.
release launch
Exactly.
somewhere. So
Well, there's a lot
I
of,
ended up
I
here.
think there's a lot of literary talent in the city. Like a lot of it, really good stuff too. And I've been early this year, I've been invited to speak at about 2 different, I don't know what I want to call them, writers groups, like amateur writers group. And some of the stuff is incredible, but they just need that little encouragement to like get it out there. Half of the stuff that's published traditionally is garbage. Like I think innovation will be in the independent author.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where creativity lies today.
Yeah, we've spoke about this many times
Yep.
about getting local authors into the chapters. Now,
That's right.
The last thing that I remember is you were fighting for, or at least trying to get a section in chapters, using them as an example,
Yep.
for local authors. And I think that was successful, if I'm not mistaken.
It was moving in the right direction.
And now?
I think it still is. I think the writing industry is going through a big change right now. I think we are seeing I'm not going to say the end of the traditional publishing, but it's diminishing a lot. And I think the independent authors are picking up. I think it's basically changing hands, what's happening. As far as one of the chapters go, there's one particular one. I'm not going to name it because we are on the radio. I think I've been unofficially blacklisted from them. I've had a couple of run-ins with the managers, and I wasn't rude or anything, but I'm not going to not say what my thoughts are. And
I'll say them for you. How hard can this be to have a shelf with local authors in
That's
a
right.
gigantic 500,000 square foot bookstore? I might
Yeah.
be exaggerating their square footage, but again, we're talking about
it's a
shelf
minuscule amount of
with,
space.
And
there's, I don't want to come across as negative here. There are the Coles in Billings Bridge, the Coles in Bayshore, the Indigo out in Orleans theme, but just a few of them are really on top of this. I mean, they've taken on people that will focus on the social media aspect of it, on Instagram, that's the kind of thing that really gets things rolling. So kudos to them. I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of positivity out there too, but you inevitably are going to come across some things that just don't work out so well.
Yeah. Well, much like us, I mean, this type of radio is not for the masses. It is, but the masses don't get it. They're mainstream. They're in their little bubble of mainstream stuff. And so I'm getting the impression that the big mainstream books, let's use Stephen King as a bad or horrible good example, I don't know, they'll stop making those books and putting out e-editions, basically, or digital copies?
Oh, I think they do both.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think they go to print. I think that's one of the cruxes with traditional publishing today is it's become a business as opposed, they're looking for what will sell. They're not looking for content. I keep going back to a great example is Justin Trudeau has a book out right now called Common Ground. I haven't read it. I probably won't read it, but it will sell. Doesn't matter if it's good or not.
Because
his face is on it. His name is on it.
Right.
That's what they're focusing on.
I know.
And I get that from a business point of view, but from a creative point of view, that's not where that that spark of creativity. That's not where that what's the word I'm looking for is that innovation comes from. I think it comes from more of a grassroots level. I think it's the same thing with music. Local bands in this city are incredible, but you got to go out and see them.
You got to see them. You got to listen to them.
That's right.
And if you're still listening to Shay and listening to April Wine and Led Zeppelin every day, you've got a problem as far as I'm concerned.
That's right. It's a very narrow
It's
perspective.
very narrow. It's a tiny bubble. You're in the same category. You're not mainstream authors. You're not writing about mainstream topics. So it's hard to get your material into people's faces.
Yep.
And it's a struggle, I think,
it can
every
be.
day. It can be. Are you doing well? What have you got? I know you're the symbiote guy.
Yeah, well, that series
Volume, 29?
No, that series actually is done. The Refuse Chronicles was the fourth and last one in the series, and I did wrap that whole series up. Part of it was because I did not want to become a one-trick pony, because I could have just kept going with it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it because the storyline, it goes through history as well. There's so many little tangents that you could follow, and it's great. But the latest incarnation of it, which is actually the first book, the first book of the symbiote was written 30 years ago, and I re-released it as a 30th anniversary edition. And it features a local model, Mary Ellen Moore, on the cover. And she was, the first time I met her was last summer. I was invited to be a celebrity judge at a beauty contest. And when she came out, she was the spitting image of a character that I thought was just imaginary. Like, I almost dropped dead when I saw her. And we ended up becoming friends, and I asked her if she wanted to be on the cover of the 30th anniversary edition. And she said yes. Then that was fantastic. But that's the first two books in one now. So moving forward, it's not going to be a 4-part series. It's going to actually be back to a trilogy. And it's still going. This year, that was released. In March, I released Narrow's Journey, which is the first book of a new series. It follows the nautical adventures of a Maori chieftain warrior across the South Pacific. It's more action-adventure, less horror, but he gets into some interesting scenarios. Well, I've always liked the idea of Edgar Allan Poe wrote a novella called The Narrative of Gordon Arthur Pym of Nantucket. That's a mouthful.
Okay, wait, you stopped me at novella. What's a novella?
A novella technically is a novel of less than 40,000 words.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
There's novelette, novella, short story, full-length novel. There's all these.
How many words are in something like this?
Of two books would be two novellas together.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting because the symbiote itself comes in at 39,500 and some odd words, so it's like a page
close.
short of a novel.
Okay.
But you're just splitting hairs at that point, really. But Edgar Allan Poe's, the novella, that title is it's a character that goes through, it's all sea adventures. And I liked that idea. There was something about seeing these different exotic places and islands and all that. And I love Treasure Island. A lot of people, they know of it. They've seen the Disney movie of it, but the actual book is fantastic. And that's one of the things I wanted to get with Narrow Sojourning. And mind you, it's set in the other ocean, and it follows a Maori chieftain. It's from a very different point of view. And it's set in 1850. That's what really inspired me for that one. And of the third one I got out this year is Sun and Moon. It's a very small collection of poems.
It's a pamphlet.
It's 30 pages, but
sorry.
it's poems.
I'm sorry that was a spontaneous thought, and here's where it's coming from, because there was a lot of hoopla in my area about this author putting out a book.
Yeah.
And I went to the book launch, and it was less than this.
Yeah.
That's not a book.
That's not a book.
That's a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Like, I get thicker things from Ontario Hydro telling me about my hydro rates from time to time.
My Roger bill's
Yeah,
bigger
my
than
Rogers bill is thicker than that. So that's where that came from.
No, that's okay.
Sorry. Do you remember where you're going with this?
I do.
Sun and Moon poetry, right?
Yeah, it's poetry. It's specifically a collection of 11 poems only. And that one was written between August of 2018 to probably August of 2019. And it was an interesting perspective because it was during previous summer, my wife got a cancer diagnosis. And the good news is at the end after the surgery, she was clear. There was no follow-up. Everything was awesome. But it's that 6 or 8 month period of not knowing in between. And your imagination is by far and away the worst thing you could possibly face.
And I know.
Yeah.
A horrible space. I had to go see a psychiatrist during exactly the same situation.
And the vast majority of the work in that came from that time. And I never did this deliberately, but ultimately I think it was partly therapeutical to purge it that way. And I do describe it as more of a purge than a birth. It's something that you need to get rid of as opposed to shaping you.
And these are not new poems either.
Some aren't, no.
Goes back as far as 1990.
Yeah, some of them are cannibalized from pieces that have been sitting around kind of unfinished.
Here's a dumb question. What kind of poetry is this?
Oh, good Lord.
Aren't there rules to poetry?
I think there are. We've had this discussion.
A haiku.
Jen and I had this discussion before about I'm more rigid when it comes to poems. I realize there's some definitions that are it's almost free verse, and I get that. I don't like that. I think there needs to be structure. I look at the difference between prose and poetry as the same difference between cooking and baking. Cooking is an art. You can change up recipes, you can change up ingredients to some degrees. Baking is more of a science. It's pretty precise. You can't play around with it. You can play around with the final product, but the process of baking is very mathematical. Mm-hmm. I see, and it's ironic that poetry would be something that's so creative that it would be that rigid, but I see it that way, and I am trying to aim it that way. Like, there's one particular piece in there called 11's Silent Promise, which was nominated for the 2019 Pushcart Prize, which has not been determined yet. But it is 11 stanzas, and they're all 11 beats. There's a very, very structured construction to it. That's how I see it.
Well, I sense because you were formally taught this in school. I still have my poetry book, and we had to write these rules, like a haiku I'm using as an example, but there was a whole bunch of other ones. I have one in my poetry book. The words are shaped so it makes a triangle. Yeah. I don't even know what that's called anymore. Before I forget, first of all, on this book here, I love the category you've got under weird fiction.
Yes.
Horror. I didn't know that was a genre.
It is.
I'm going to go to chapters and look for the weird fiction.
You probably won't find it on the shelves.
No, I won't.
No.
The other thing, talk about distribution, because I was on your website last night.
Yeah.
And I'm used to some of these. But you have like 49 logos down there.
I know.
I didn't even know. So I got to ask you. I know what a Kindle is. I know Barnes & Noble. But
there's a lot of
Mondadori?
I use a website called Draft to Digital, which is it basically it distributes the various ebooks for you, as opposed to submitting different manuscripts in different formats at different places. And they hit places that I've never even heard of. And I'm cool with that. Like,
Okay,
it's just
so you
more
just
of a wider. They do all that for you.
So you sit on one platform, but they distribute it, and
That's right.
They give you these logos and say, "Hey, it's going to be
Yep.
here," and they take care of that.
They take
for
care
a
of that.
fee, I imagine.
Well,
it's got to be a fee
the fee is they take a percentage off of what sells. I think it's 30%.
from these places.
Yeah.
Oh.
So if
How much?
I think it's 30%.
Good deal there.
It's not ridiculous. Well, a lot of the bigger bookstores in hard copy takes like up to 45% of the retail. That's
Really?
brutal. Yeah, that's difficult.
Whatever happened to 10% markup?
Yeah, I know.
You know, I don't understand. Okay, so you don't know necessarily what some of these are, or have you gone to each and every
I
place?
have.
Okay.
I always do to make sure they're there. I mean,
What's the green blob?
that's Agnes and Robertson. They're in New Zealand or Australia.
And the G.
That's Goodreads.
Okay, and
Goodreads is not a ebook distributor. Goodreads is it's like a Facebook social media for authors and readers.
Why is there a barcode here?
That's a link to my website.
Oh, okay. So I could use my phone.
You can.
24S?
24 system, I think it stands for.
Okay.
You're really testing me here.
Well, I was going to. I looked at the website, and it's like, oh my God, there's like 500 places, and I only recognize 4 of them. And like, how did you do
I
that?
know,
Okay,
I know.
so one platform that helps
distributes.
you distribute
That's
all
right.
that for.
And it's nice because some places, like for example, I think with Barnes & Noble, that's pretty big in the States.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to get an account there because you need an American address and it cuts you out. This is a nice way around that.
I was pissed because I tried to order something from Barnes & Noble, and I wasn't allowed to. It's
That's
like,
right.
This is... You Americans, you want to keep everything to your little tiny country. This is the worldwide information superhighway. The whole point to this was to be able to buy stuff.
Bypass
like
boundaries.
You won't mail. I'll pay whatever it costs. No, we don't send her. Okay, really? You're off my list forever.
Yeah.
Is this your face, by the way?
That is my face.
So I thought.
It's not very often I do that. I mean, I'll use it on social media. I'm not super comfortable with that, but that one was kind of appropriate.
I only know because I know, but most people probably would not know that was you. You know.
Well, that's their way of learning.
Well, they might say, and look, here's the negative of it too. Who took the picture?
I did.
Oh, by yourself?
I did. It was it actually started out. I was in the basement goofing around, and that was the shot. I had dropped my glasses and play around with it a little bit. And you could say, I said, hey, I can make this work. I can make this work pretty good.
It worked.
It did.
Got your eyes closed, lighting from above, no glasses. You might need a haircut at that point, but that's okay. Okay, so I think last time you were here, I've seen that.
Yeah, that was
sure.
March. March it was launched.
This is new.
That's new in September.
And this is new too.
That's new as well. And mind you, it's just a relaunch of a 30th anniversary. Not new in the sense of being written, but new in the sense of a new publication.
Cool. Jen, what have you got there? You got another book.
Oh, that's Michelle.
Oh, that's mine.
I thought you had something
Give me a
else.
copy. I gave him a blurb on the back. So
She's on the back cover.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the blurb? What did she say? Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? I don't see it.
I'm at the very top.
Oh, okay. I don't like poetry. Help me understand poetry. Why do I have a block towards poetry? What is it? I mean, I can't.
I don't know. I mean, the majority of stuff I write is not poetry. Usually it takes a long process getting it out. And I mean, I think last time I was on the show with you, we had talked kind of about this. We're talking about fear. And I think the conversation began with, I think a lot of people that are afraid to write or publish, that's the big thing that stops in the beginning is fear. And I think that's how this conversation began. And one of the things I was talking about is, and it's strange, but I don't get scared when I do radio or TV or a book launch or a book signing or speaking at writing group. When I launch poetry, I get really scared.
Really?
Yeah, and it's because, at the end of the day, if I put out a novel and people don't like it or somebody doesn't like it, it's fiction. It's just a story. It's at the end, it's not what you want, but it's not a big deal. But when you launch or publish poetry, it's coming from a very deep place. And it's not fiction. It's part of you. And that's a scary thing. That's a very, very scary thing. I find that scary.
Interesting. Do you have the same issue, Jen?
I don't feel quite the same way Michelle does. I haven't put out poetry yet, but I do write some poetry. But But it is very personal. Like poetry, typically you're taking an emotion that you feel and you're putting words to it and you're putting that on paper. So if somebody doesn't like that, it's like they don't like you. It's a little bit more of an inside.
Oh, how would you know if they didn't like your poetry? Do they tell you up front?
No.
No.
Most people, because they know it comes. See, that you also get platitudes too. Oh, it's great, and you never. I know with myself with fiction, I'll get people that they love it, or they'll say I didn't like it, or I've had one person come up with a book signing and just with a sneer in his face say I hate horror and sit there. It's like, well, okay, move on. Like I don't know what you want me to tell you. It's kind of a conversation killer at that point. But with poetry, I think most people understand that it comes from a different place. You might get more of a technical analysis as opposed to, I just didn't like it. I've seen people come up with, I don't get it. Or the other side of the coin, I've seen people, like sometimes I've done coffee house meet and greets where people have read it and they'll show up and they resonate with it right away. And, that's interesting because you see the inside of somebody else. They start sharing their experiences and what they bring to the table. And that's kind of cool.
You got a few events coming up. I know you do anyway. November 23rd.
Yes.
You're going to be there, Jen?
Yeah, I'll be there too.
Michelle and another person, Michelle Young.
Michelle Young, yeah.
All three of you going to be showcasing 3 local authors, poets. Got my attention. Books and beer.
Books and beer.
Books and beer. Why? Because it's probably at a brewery,
it's
right?
At 3 brewers in Kanata, in Centrum Center, yeah.
Yeah, that's the new thing,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed breweries or...
Yeah, microbreweries are a big thing.
I'm
not a fan, but...
Really? Of art space. They're art performance places on top of...
The locations are great, I think.
Yeah.
For actual micro beers, I find the mass majority of them are terrible.
Really?
There's a few I like, but for the most part, they're just...
Okay. I'm kind of with you, because if you know the history of beer, there used to be a brewery on every corner.
Yeah.
Then they all disappeared, bought up by 3.
Yeah.
And I always said that beer basically was one big holding tank, came out of one faucet, and they put different labels on it. Now we have too many breweries.
Yeah.
I think they're all going to go away.
Yep.
And we're going to be back to where we were. So I'm kind of with you. But
I think it's not a bad thing in itself. It kind of reminds me of, in a way, music in the 80s, because we got the 80s are known for what? The one-hit wonders. We had all this barrage of the British invasion, all these different things. Some things stuck, but there was a huge amount of music, and there's a lot of big things that came out of that. And I think it's going to be the same thing with the microbrewers. A few of them are good. Like one of my favorite, and I don't consider it a microbrewer anymore, is Bose beer.
Yeah.
And I like it. Mm-hmm. They're too big, as far as I'm concerned, to be a microbrewer anymore, but
you're right.
They're still labeled as that, but it's just good beer.
It is. And have you tried their London Fog?
I have.
What do you think?
I like it.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Because when I went, I go to Bose Oktoberfest every year, and that was their signature beer that day. And it's like, yuck! I don't want my beer to have a tea flavor, but you know what? It doesn't taste like that. It works.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Yeah.
It's got a weird aftertaste that lingers. Although I'm no beer expert. Okay, so 3 brewers. That's the name of the brewery?
That's the name of the location.
First time I've heard of that place, by the way.
There's more than it's a franchise. There's more than one in Ottawa, but I'm out in the West End, and that's...
What time will that start?
I believe it's 3 till 7, but I think the 7 is open-ended. They're not going to kick us out.
Okay, so how does this work? You go and you talk, right?
You show up and you meet and greet with us, and there's going to be some kind of format. Nothing's ironed out yet, but I kind of like the loosey-goosey, just wing it kind of deal. Like the last Arise event we did 2 summers ago was at Grounds Cafe, and I call it Stitsata, between Stittsville and Kanata. And we actually had Jeff LaRock.
Again, that's good.
Stitsata.
That's
Jeff LaRock had showed up, and he was going to do one of the poetry readings for me. And it ended up, it didn't happen. It just, this conversation happened on its own and just ran its own course. And I love when things take on a life of their own like that.
Sure.
And you let them go. Like that's what I like to aim at. I don't like it so structured where it has to be this and it has to be that. Because sometimes when innovation comes out of its own, it gets stopped that way, right?
Right. This is a good name, by the way, this concept, Arise. You've been using it consistently, right?
Yeah.
So you should have a logo or something.
I do.
Oh, really?
I do have a logo. Do I have
an
one
Arise
here?
event?
An Arise. It is, and there's more than one Arise event.
Have a standard poster and just change the information.
More or less.
It's like having your own trademark.
There you go.
Oh, so cool. The Rise of the Indie Author returns. Oh, and you've copywritten it too, really?
I have. Well,
You
yeah.
can't copyright a word.
I can copyright the logo.
Yeah, oh, I see. Okay. The actual
Well,
look
one of the reasons, sadly, one of the reasons why I did that is I had the idea behind Arise is to showcase Ottawa talent and get it out there in different events. And we're also doing an anthology of local authors. We're collecting submissions until the end of February, and then probably be a summer launch. That's going to be an Arise. It's not an event as opposed to a book, but one of the reasons why I put that on is I've had a small handful of local authors. I don't know how I want to say this, jump on the bandwagon or started using it. And it was totally out of context to anything that was going on. And it's like, no. Because one of the things I like, and this goes back to one of your opening questions about how Jen and I met or how I met Michelle Young, was I like authors that think outside of the box. I like something that catches me off guard and see something that I sit there and say, damn, I wish I would have thought of that. That's where it is. And there's a lot of them out there that don't. And, I really want to be selective who we collectively work with, because there are some that are just, I don't mean in the sense of their ability to write, just not the nicest people in the world.
Okay, on that note, we're just going to take a small break, a very small break. We're in the studio with Jen Pretty and Michel Weatherall. You can meet them in person at Three Brewers in, what was it?
Oh, no, that's in Kanata.
Oh, that's in Kanata.
Yeah.
Books and Beer, showcasing 3 local authors, November 23rd. Again, roughly about 3 o'clock. Stick around. We'll be back in your ears in just a few moments.
We're online. If you're interested in keeping up to date with everything going on here at CKCU, be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram at CKCU-FM.
You are listening to CKCU 93.1 FM in Ottawa.
Hey! What the heck are you doing?
Just finishing up a project. Sorry about the noise.
Oh, but it's 2 a.m.
I know, but the funding drive starts soon and I have to be ready for it.
What are you building anyways?
A rocket ship.
What? Do you think you're Elon Musk or something? Why are you building a rocket ship at 2 o'clock in the morning in the garage?
Well, CKCU is shooting for the moon with this year's funding drive, and I want to be sure we get there.
This year's CKCU-FM is hoping to raise a galactic sum of $250,000. Funding drive officially starts on October 25th, but please visit ckcufm.com and make a donation today.
8:44 here on hour 2 of the TikTok version of Special Blend, in studio with Michel Weatherall and Jen Pretty. Do you read each other's books? And no, I'll just leave it there. Do you read each other's books?
I haven't.
You have not?
I have not.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I don't like Jen. No. No, I don't have a lot of time to read much anymore because
really?
the writing, yes, sadly. I mean, I was on...
now, that's kind of odd and amusing at the same time.
Well, it is, because I have at home, I have a library, and when I say library, I don't mean a bookshelf. I mean a room that's books. I have sadly, I have to say past tense, read a lot. It's just between the marketing and the writing, I don't get a lot of time to do reading. Mm-hmm. I do reading, but one of the reasons, it's not like I avoid other local authors' works, but one of the things I'm aware of is I've always have a fear of your subconscious picking up an idea and carrying it for a while. Good and point. Then all of a sudden you come up with a work and somebody comes up and say, well, that was my idea. And you say, oh, it wasn't it?
Well, I've said it for years. There is no original thought on planet Earth anymore because we're biased every day. Yeah. We're influenced subconsciously or consciously. And, accidentally you might write a song and you'll get sued because it sounds like that, and there was no intent to do that. No. You might not have been aware of that, but
we enter that great world of what's the difference between copyright infringement and being influenced by something. Yeah. Music especially. So if we're brought up with musicians X, Y, and Z, we're going to be sounding like those musicians.
And there's only so many chords, and there's only so many words, and so interesting. Do you do a lot of reading, Jen?
I read quite a bit. Yeah, I read 2
In
or
your
3
genre, or do you bend the envelope and read a
skip
geography
around.
book from time to
every
time?
now and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is this selling?
Pretty good so far.
This is on demand, right? Or do you pre-order, or is it, or do the, like? Is it on demand to the point that they're only printed when somebody orders them online, or is there a warehouse with 50 of them on a shelf somewhere?
They're print on demand, those ones, from Amazon.
Wow.
Yeah.
So somebody orders it, they get it, and it comes just like that.
Yep.
Amazing, eh? Because we've talked about this so
Yeah.
many times, the on demand, because Jen doesn't know how it used to be, where you'd have to run like 1,000
That's right.
copies just to
Yeah.
make sure everything looks okay, and pull one off, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, go, and like minimum run was 1,000 or something.
Oh, that's right.
Wow. And you said 15 books you got
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, so far.
Do you have a library?
No, I read ebooks.
Girl. You're part of the problem. You know that, eh?
I have a small stack of print books, and that's it.
Okay, so like I'm not against e-readers or Kindles, but I think that anyone, whether you're serious or not, like I'm not a serious reader. I don't read novels. I just read a lot, and it's usually technical in nature. But look, I'm still printing my scripts. I need to read. I can read this from the screen, but that screen might crash. This paper won't crash on me. That's not related to a Kindle. But don't you still like the physical? Take this anywhere. You don't have to turn it on. You don't have to log in. You don't have to be at a computer. You can take this with you. You can take your Kindle with you everywhere, too.
I actually read on my phone.
Oh, my God. Out of the studio. That's like watching videos on your phone, too, which you might do.
I don't. Actually, I don't watch videos.
Okay.
I just read on my phone. So.
Okay, well, do you make the words really big?
No, I have pretty good eyes still.
I know, but
I can see.
Oh my God, on a
I'm all
phone,
right.
that's like.
But then wherever I am, if I'm sitting in a waiting room, I can read my book or
Okay.
walking the dog.
So do you have a Kindle membership, or do you pay for your books?
I
or-
have a Kindle Unlimited membership. I do subscribe.
How much does that cost?
I think it's like $10 a month or
Really?
$15 a month.
Unlimited, any book in the universe you
No,
can get.
it's books that are subscribed. So how this works is authors can put their books in Kindle Unlimited, available in Kindle Unlimited, and then they get paid per page read.
Per page? Oh,
Yeah. So that's where the bulk of my income comes from, is from people in Kindle Unlimited reading my books.
really?
Yeah.
Per page?
Per page.
And this is 0.0007 of a cent
It's 0.0046 cents this month.
per page.
Yeah.
This month,
This
it changes.
It changes every month, yeah.
Wow, what a crazy world.
Yeah.
Per page.
Per page.
So somebody can buy the book, not finish reading it, but you're still going to get
I
some
still get
cash
paid.
because they read 50 pages.
Exactly.
Times 0.0046.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you get big checks in the mail?
I don't do all my stuff, bar one book, is available in ebooks. Ebooks constitute exactly 2.8% of my sales. So, and I admit I'm not the one that puts a lot of energy into marketing for ebooks, but hypothetically, if I was to, like, ebooks are definitely here to stay. They have their niche market, but the thing is, they're not the monster we thought they would be. When they first came out, everybody was doom and gloom for the print industry, and it's not like that. Most people do want something hard. Some people want, it could be an ego of a bragging rights. Look at my library, because you can't do that with a file.
No.
There's a lot of different things.
I can't. I have servers on shelves.
Oh, you can see my collection of servers.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, there is still a big draw to that. Where was I going with this? I don't do a lot of marketing. Hypothetically, if I was to double my marketing for ebooks, and I know the relationship between marketing and sales aren't 1-to-1, but for argument's sake, let's say they are. So I'm looking at, 5%? Like, it's not that huge of a market.
Because of the time.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not everybody does this as well. It's an individual choice. But I remember at one point I'd made a decision that I was going to focus on local, Ottawa. I was going to focus on hitting the city with my work and getting it out in print, and the more venues, the better. Mm-hmm. And that was just a choice. So,
and you're not doing this to make money, either of you, right?
I make money doing it, but I wouldn't.
Too.
Pardon me?
I make money too.
Yeah.
But it's not your day job, is it?
It's part of my day
Really?
job. It's It's about halfway to feeding me. So keep me fed and clothed.
That's better than some musicians. That's really good. I guess readers from all around the world.
Oh yeah.
And you get the stats on that
the UK
too.
is really big. My books are quite big in the UK.
Really?
Yeah.
Does
but
it
the
show?
United States is still the biggest market.
Does it show age ranges?
No.
Do you get those kind of stats?
No.
And you really promote hard copy selling at these events, such as the one coming up November 23rd.
That's right.
You'll have boxes of books in your car.
Yeah, there should be. Everybody should have work available there.
I will too, yeah.
Yeah, boxes?
Boxes.
Of all your books?
Yes.
All 15?
Just the first in each series right now.
The first in each series?
Yeah.
Okay, explain more.
So right now I have 4 or 5 series out.
Okay.
Or trilogies or, 4-book series. But I've only got paper copies of the first in each right now.
Okay. And is this part 1, 2, 3, 4 of a series, trilogy?
That's the first book in that series.
Okay, so you'll have this one, and number 2's coming out.
Yeah.
Right? And you're working on number 3.
Yeah.
Prolific. It takes you longer.
It takes me a lot longer.
Really?
I do. Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know.
It's research, isn't it? There's more research in yours. And
I don't know if I want to say I don't believe or I do believe in writer's block. I'm a firm believer if it's not coming out of you naturally, stop and walk away. Because if you force it or if you figure you're going to muscle through it, you're going to be producing garbage.
Or wasting your time.
Yeah. And then like with Narrow Sojourning, that's my latest novel, that one took about 18 months to write. And about another 6 months to get it set up for format and print and covers and everything else. But I set everything up myself to go to the printer.
Do you guys do this every day, Jen? Looking at you, like musicians have to practice. Do you go into a room for 2 hours a day and write?
Not necessarily into a room, but I set up my laptop every day, and I hope to write about 3,000 words every day.
And
it's my plan.
Does that happen? Or, as he says, it's not happening, walk away, go for a walk?
No, I'm pretty hardcore about doing something every day.
Really?
Yeah, like even if it's...
Forced?
If it's not coming, I'll just I'll push through and keep going. I'll keep writing. I'll throw those words down, see what happens.
Now, you guys can type, like old school typing, right?
Yeah.
You? Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you learn in school?
I did. I actually took typing classes.
Really,
I did too, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I wish it's one of the few things I wish I could probably do, and there's no point in trying to train me at this point. I'm really good. I'm really accurate with just 2 fingers and kind of fast too.
The
but
Bible method.
I wish
Seek
I could
and thou shalt find.
Yeah, I wish I didn't have to look and I could be way faster. See, the reason I don't write is my brain thinks faster than I can write or type.
Yes.
Even if I was a typist, I'm done.
I have that.
Does that
I've had that happen before. Typing, like an idea comes to me and it's like you have to get it out. You have to purge it. And I'm typing, and all of a sudden I look back and my fingers are typing slurred words together because my mind's going faster than I'm.
But that's okay because you go back and correct.
Well, that's right, and that's
so
part of the process. You're getting out, and you go back later and clean it all up.
Right. It's like just verbal diarrhea.
Yeah.
It's like it's just gibberish, but at least you've got it. Because I'm the same way. It's like I don't care about how the words are spelling. I'll figure that out later.
Yeah.
My 2 fingers. Do you find that your thoughts are happening faster than you can either verbalize or type them out?
Definitely. That's sort of part of my process is that I just sort of blank my mind a little bit and just let it go into the story, let my fingers fly across the keyboards and just clean it up later.
Fix it up later.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So I'm not alone. I thought I was the only person because it's so frustrating. It's like these things and it's like, missed it, gone into ether forever. So I think we talked before about this. You use your phone, your supercomputer in the pocket, to record things, don't you? Do you use the voice recorder?
I do sometimes. Actually, interestingly enough, is the entire 105,000 words of Narrow Sojourning was written on my phone, the whole thing, and it was wherever I was in transit, whatever.
Really?
Yeah, all of it was. Now the cleanup and the edit and the formatting, that wasn't, because it just doesn't have the capacity to do that. But I can actually call it a phone book because it was.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Like on the little tiny.
Well, I've also
turn it sideways?
I turn it sideways and it becomes a full screen. I also have an actual external keyboard that connects Wi-Fi. it's depending on how much typing I'm doing, because yes, I can type with my thumbs, but I'm not going to do 105,000 words with my thumbs. It's
but just
not going to happen.
Paragraphs between here and there.
Yep.
Wow. You're not distracted by stuff,
Yep.
smells? Oh,
Yep.
you are?
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
But you're still cram it.
I like
crank it
that
out.
when that creative moment comes, it has to get out.
Okay. Michelle Young, what's she going to be doing? She's not here today, but what's her style?
She has 3 books out right now. She has 2 books of poetry, Salt and Light and Without Fear.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a novel coming out called Your Move. I think it's a thriller. And it was her first novel and was just released. So she'll have all those 3. And then Michelle and I will be on Daytime Ottawa on the 15th, talking more about the Rise event and her stuff as well as this.
15th of November.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where was I going to go with this? Were you a book nerd in school?
I was not.
When
I was not
when did it change? Get a little closer to that mic.
Probably about 4 years ago, I started reading. I just found, I guess I'd never found the right genre for me, but I found the right genre and just dove right in. I started reading like crazy. It was 3 or 4 books a week, and it hasn't slowed down, so still going.
To be a good writer, do you have to have an amazing vocabulary?
No, you don't have to. I think it would help. You can go too far on that extreme too. You can get you can start waxing poetic, and it's just
stupid big words,
verbal diarrhea for the sake of saying I have a huge vocabulary. There's some authors I know, like H.P. Lovecraft's like that. It's brutal reading his work.
Really?
It's good, but you're reading 2 books at once. You're reading his book and you're reading a dictionary at the same time.
I see that.
And
What is that word you need
yeah,
to
yeah,
know,
and it's not
right?
one of those words that you can fake it. Like you read it in the context, the paragraph, and I know what it meant. No. This is the whole paragraph, and it's like you know it or you don't, and it makes it hard reading. It also sharpens you up too. But
I bet.
Yeah.
When you do these events, do you do readings? Are you a fan of them?
I myself don't do readings, but
Jen?
I will be doing a reading. I just did a reading at the last event I was at, and I survived that. So, planning to read from this book on the 23rd.
Why do you say you survived it? Is it nerve-wracking?
I am an author. I'm a bit of an introvert. I'm not a big speaker
Public
in front
speaker.
of no.
Oh.
No, I'm not. So.
Really? But it's your words. Wouldn't they just come out of your mouth easily, or is it just the stress of talking to other people?
It's, I think, the stress of standing in front of other people in general for me.
And Michelle, you don't do it because it's not worth it.
I
Really?
just
Like, what's
I'm
the point?
aware of a very minor speech impediment from when I was young, and I'm acutely aware of it.
You're
so I don't do-
self-conscious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wouldn't have known.
Yeah. I wear a good poker face.
Wouldn't have known. So asking you to read a poem would be a waste of time.
It
Believe
would
me, I
be-
would not ask you anyway because I'd kind of be bored, to tell you the truth. I'd rather read the words and let them
See,
go.
here's going to be the segue for between you and poetry and music is that I would argue most songs' lyrics are poems.
They are.
put to music.
They are.
And that's the segue
Yes.
between the two.
Yeah, it's just. But if you listen to my show, I tell people all the time, I don't listen to
Oh, I
lyrics
know.
and songs.
I know.
I have no. And again, there's no original thought. And as far as songs, everything's been said. I
Yeah.
mean, everything has been said already. I don't need another song telling me that Bobby loves Mary Sue or whatever. I don't need that. Let me see. Oh, look what time it is. The time just flew by. It's 9 o'clock. I got to get rid of you guys. I didn't even know. I want to thank you so much for coming in, Jen.
Thank you for having us.
Stop in again. You too, Michelle.
Always a pleasure.
Always keep in touch and drop in. And for the people listening, don't forget the next Arise event is November 23rd at 3 Brewers Kanata. It's books and beer. What a combination. There's going to be 3 local authors and poets. Of course, Jen Petty in the studio today, Michel Weatherall, and Michelle Young. Check that out, November 23rd. It's 9 o'clock. I'm a little late, but let's do the BBC News, and I'll join you for hour 2.5 right after that.